Hey folks, I'm trying desperately to stream, and nothing seems to be working. But I'm trying. I'm trying to be live.
There you are.
You're showing me as live?
Yeah.
Don't see anybody in the chat. Could you turn that down?
I am.
Appreciate it. Hmm. Well, I'll give this a moment to see what happens here. Is it?
Yes, say hello to people.
Anybody there? Hello? Anyone? No. I hope I'm streaming, but I'm not convinced that I am.
You are.
Oh, hey, Chrissy. Well,
It's me.
all right. Well,
Yeah, it's growing slowly. People are probably just like hesitant.
yeah. Hey, I'm sorry, folks. I don't know what happened there. Um, Connectivity just sort of dropped to 0. Switched out a few things. The Razor Vids. Hello. Okay, so I've got one person in chat, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much for joining me. You're catching me. I'd already been drawing. I didn't continue to draw when I stopped. But this video will obviously be in 2 parts now. I'll just continue to draw. It'll at least be archived, I guess. But yeah, that is upsetting. I'm really sorry, folks. Did not expect that my stream would just cut out like that. And what's most frustrating is I really don't know why, at least not yet. So I'll look into it. Hopefully that never happens again, but who knows? Who knows?
It's the ghost of G.I. Joe.
Oh, thank you. Only one person in chat. So I just completely killed my audience by going down like that. What? Hey, Segamigs. Yeah, I'm back. I apparently lost pretty much my entire audience, and I don't blame anybody. That's channel just cut out. So what can I do? I'm back. I'm drawing. I'll finish this up, but yeah, that kind of broke my heart. Hope it never does that again. We'll see. Let's see. Razorvid says, do you have any quick tips for drawing perspective? Yeah, quick tips are, just definitely learn the difference between 1, 2, and 3-point perspective. Get yourself a really big ruler, and it's as simple as laying it out at that point. If it's 1 point, boom, every parallel line, or I should say really like a not horizontal, yeah, every sort of, no, it's not even perpendicular because we're dealing in 3 dimensions. Anyway, like everything fades away to 1 point, 2 points, or 3 points. Let's see, so like here, let me just pull something up real quick. Alright, so this is a panel, and if we're drawing a person and then we have 1-point perspective, well, we figure out where the horizon is for this person, and then we choose a point on it, and everything will like fade to that point. So like if we draw a building, it'll go towards that point, and you just use your ruler. If we draw a truck or a car, yeah, let's draw a little car. I don't know what kind of a car I'm drawing. A terrible one, but it would go towards that same point. All the lines there. Okay, enough. That's easy. That's easy. You know, another building, boom. You just use your ruler and it goes there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. 2 point. You've got that horizon line somewhere or other. You've got your person. So you've got 2 points now. So now when I draw a building, it's going to go to one or the other. Everything's going to go towards these points. So if I draw a building here, it goes that way. If I draw in, like, the shoulders are going out this way, right? So if I want to draw another person standing closer, their shoulders are going to be here, so that person's in the foreground now. Alright? So 3 point is way more complex, but like can produce some of the most beautiful results. So in 3 point perspective, you've got like your imaginary points, and I'm putting them on the within the panel here, but really that's not realistic. Really, like, excuse me, you'd have like a point out here, a point out here, and a point down here. And then if you were to draw like, you know, like a city, then your this would be like where all the lines are coming up for, like, you know, the height, and then they're gonna be going off this way and this way. So if I'm drawing a rooftop building here, now it goes like that, as well as all these lines. Boom, 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 boom. Now this is very sloppy, obviously, because I'm just showing it real quick. And then you can have Spider-Man swinging around or something like that with his webbing. But that's what happens now, is you've got like these points, so now I can like do more things, and they're all gonna, like, all the lines are gonna start going towards each point. And these are great for bird's eye views and like a worm's eye view. If you wanted to put a point up here and you're drawing like Ant-Man and you're drawing like really tall people or buildings or something like that. So it really just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. So I hope that that answers. But there are books on perspective, and you really, there's no shortcuts to perspective, not really. If you're going to draw something like an actual piece of architecture or a bunch of cars, you're going to just have to choose for yourself like what kind of perspective you want to use, and then just keep your ruler handy. And it's probably going to have to be a longer ruler than this. This is like what, like 18 inches, okay? But like, in order to have the points of perspective actually look right, you can only really learn this through trial and error. But you're gonna, especially for 3 point perspective, you're gonna have to set those points pretty far off of the drawing area. So that's why artists will sometimes have those really big drafting tables that architects use. And you can like actually put like little dots there and use really long rulers to make it work. Yeah, you can use strings, and that's okay for pencil, but it's very difficult for ink. Alright, well, I'm glad I'm back. I'm pretty close, honestly, on this drawing, so I'll just sort of try to give this thing a little bit of metallic texture and stuff, and feather this shadow a little bit, but I'm pretty close, and I'm just gonna ultimately draw this weirdo with some really gaudy colors. I'm going to come back and draw this guy with some... he had terrible colors. I think he had orange pants and a bright, like almost neon green jacket. So he had fine sculpting and details. Like if I draw this, you know, that more or less looks like a fairly standard jet pilot. But oh boy, once he gets his colors, he looks like hot garbage. He is not a good looking action figure. Don't know what they were thinking. Bright, bright orange, bright, bright green. Not what you'd expect out of a military jet pilot.
Very Halloween.
Yeah. Totally appropriate for Halloween. Let me zoom back out just a little bit because obviously I'm in too far to see this entire thing. This really frustrates me to think that I'll have two separate videos for one drawing.
Can you at least go in and edit the titles to
Yeah.
part one, part two?
Yep. Alright, so hopefully you can see that a little better. He looks like a Buck Rogers knockoff. Yeah, well that's because like his helmet was almost like a jet pilot's, except he didn't have a visor here, and he had like this weird nodule on one side and like a sort of like almost like a big clunky cell phone or something like just grafted onto this side. So yeah, he carried a humongous revolver. So just a weird character. Let me take a moment to sort of clean up some of the pencil underdrawing, and I'll see if there's any good questions in chat. This is a good time to ask them because I've got a moment here. Nerdbane says, that not crazy about that American Gladiator Double Dare helmet. No, I'm not crazy about it either, but I'm drawing an actual thing. I'm not drawing this guy to look cool. I'm drawing him to look accurate. This was a weird G.I. Joe character. And it's just what I felt like drawing tonight. Tomorrow I'll probably draw something a lot cooler to make up for this. This is like the drawing equivalent of this is eating my broccoli, and because I did this I can have my meat and fun stuff later. Now actually personally I had fun drawing this guy. He's just not as exciting maybe as like a superhero or something, but for me this was fun to just draw him because I know who this is, and this is just a weird character. Some very unattractive colors. Oh, hold on, maybe I will color this guy tonight. My girlfriend just brought in some Copic markers. Those are fun to color with. I don't know how many of you out there have Copic markers. They're very fun to draw with. Alright, this stream's going to go on a little longer because I am going to do some coloring. That's going to be fun. Uncanny Kodak says that he's tried knockoff Copics. Not as much fun. No, I would imagine not. Let me see what we've got for not too attractive orange. That's a possible one. What else have we got in here? Maybe vermilion. Maybe. That might be too red. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to switch to this. This is more orangey. And then I need some awful green. Like, really just, yeah. Like that. Do I have skin color? Do I have skin color? I'll need this red. This is fun. Some gray. Another gray. Just sort of choosing my palette right now, folks. Bear with me here. That might be an okay skin tone. Probably need a good sort of blue and a darker one. And that might do it. That might do it. Let's see, do I have a darker gray? Yeah, I've got an even darker gray, so I'll use that. And a lighter gray. Alright. Whoa! Thank you, Razor Vids. I just got $5 Canadian, which is worth a king's ransom to me. Thank you. That's really, really kind of you. That will help me a lot. I am trying to get out of some, not get out of, I'm not like underneath, but I've had some big bills recently, including my cat's health care, and it makes it very hard to save. I'm still not really at the point where I'm saving anything. Everything is just paying down existing credit card debt that I've accumulated, and it hasn't been accumulated by just silly fun stuff. It's just part of living life and having to deal with getting laid off last year. So really has been tricky to get back ahead. But thank you very much. That helps. That's super kind of you. All right, let's see here. I'm going to try to use this blue for a couple things here. Am I still streaming? Yeah. Can you give me any advice on doing character designs? Well, I would just say, you know, first of all, don't just start from scratch. That's intimidating. Really give some thought as to who your character is in terms of their context, you know, their past, their history, and in terms of their content. What do they want? What are their desires? And let those things inform it, I would say. Like let it inform, just play with it in your head. Like try to imagine them as a real person, and it's not easy, but yeah, like try to think of where they come from. Maybe that's poor advice. I don't know. It is broad advice, but it's hard to tell somebody like how to do good character design.
I like looking at other people's like portfolios of characters.
Okay, I don't know if you guys could necessarily hear that. Chrissy recommends looking at portfolios of artists you admire to get inspired, and that's pretty good advice. I like that.
A lot of times they'll have character designs and show them different poses and expressions.
But you don't want to like wear all your inspirations on your sleeve. You know what I mean? You don't want to just do a knockoff. But yeah, that's good advice. Thanks for contributing. I have issues with my ink smudging when I color with Prismas. Well, Prismas are designed to blend, so if you're having a huge issue there, I would say possibly look into different inks. Try different types of India ink to see, and also if it's still an issue, let it set, you know, and come back one day later to see if it drying makes any difference. Oh wow, let's see. Richard Hawker says, Did you get to my Tim Truman question? Couldn't watch. I'm sorry, I did not see that question. What was your question about Tim Truman? I'm not sure I know off the top of my head who that is. Tim Truman. I mean, I'm just assuming an artist, but I don't know that for a fact. Wow, B. Dan Riley, thank you also to you. Take that, Internet, we're pulling through. I love it. Thank you very much. You guys are just the best. That's so appreciated. Tim, B. Dan Riley. I hope it's not like anything that's a burden on you to do that kind of a donation. Please know that it means a lot to me. So, sincerely, thank you. Not expected, very appreciated. Hope that's clear.
It looks like Richard's question about Tim Truman might have been on that other one that got lost.
Yeah, I think that the Tim Truman question was on the stream before it cut out, so I didn't get to see what the question was. You've given me a super chat. I'm keeping my eyes open. Like, please feel free to ask the question again, Richard. I'd very much feel better if I could attempt an answer. If I could write or draw any comic, what would it be, or would you get your own comic published? I definitely want to do my own comic. Because then if there's any ancillary stuff down the road, I benefit from it. If I control the direction of that character, yeah, that would make me happiest. I've got plenty of my ideas that I'd love to explore. So if it's the choice between, writing a character that I love because I grew up with them, or creating my own new thing and sort of rolling the dice on that success, I would much prefer the shot at like doing my own thing. I think I've got some ideas that would resonate with people. We'll see. We'll see. Richard Hawker's question. Tim Truman did Hawkworld, Scout, Jonah Hex, and some cowboy horror comics. Oh, I would love to see an episode on him as a writer and artist. Well, that sounds very interesting. I do like Jonah Hex. The idea of cowboy horror comics sounds very appealing to me. I have not read Hawkworld, so there's a chance that I've read some Tim Truman from looking at Jonah Hex stuff. There's a chance, and I just wasn't super aware of it. So I will do some research and see if that's something I've got to take on. Even if I do, I can't promise that it would be anytime immediately soon. I've got a lot of topics scheduled throughout the rest of this year. But yeah, I would like to do that. Let's see. B. Dan Riley says, have I ever read or heard of Department H by Matt Kindt? It's easily one of my favorite comics from the past couple of years. Yeah, I have heard of it. I haven't read it. I would very much be interested in that. I like Matt Kindt's work, and yeah, he would probably make for a very interesting episode. So that's definitely somebody that I will hit at some point in the future. I'm not going to punch. I just... I'm doing Inktober with a total goofball, folks. Don't know how much of her you can hear because she's keeping herself just off screen. But it is fun to have somebody drawing and making art with you. Makes the day go by in a very fun, quick way. Let's see. B.D. Riley says, what kind of story would you tell? You don't have to get into deep specifics if you don't want. I'd be happy with what genre or themes. some of the stuff that would interest me is a little bit more sci-fi than superheroes, and I really love stories with I think like sort of prisoners. Like I kind of like and I don't mean like jail per se. I mean if you've ever seen Spartacus by Stanley Kubrick, you know, or I guess if more recently maybe we'll just say Gladiator with Russell Crowe, kind of the same thing. I like stories like that, but like the idea of like putting it in a sci-fi context. I've got a couple ideas that sort of broad strokes deal with stuff like that. But we'll see. You know, we'll see. I've got several ideas beyond that. Even I like horror. I like horror a lot. I think that that's a challenge. But I do have an idea for a werewolf story that I think hasn't really been done yet. I don't think. It's not like super deep in mythology. It's more just like, you know, a simple story of survival that I think would be an interesting take on it. We'll see. So yeah, I'm always coming up with ideas though. Richard Hawker says, Hawkworld is a classic and Scout is very cool. I think you will love Tim Truman stuff. Oh, well that's exciting to hear. Well, that's a big part of what I love doing about this well, I don't know if that sentence was coming together right, but a big part of working on comic tropes that I benefit from is recommendations from people out there, and it points me in interesting directions and helps me discover comics I might not discover otherwise, or at least not as quickly. So, yeah, that's exciting to hear about. You know what? I think that this should be even darker. Yeah, the hell with it. Let's see what this looks like. I'm going to darken them.
Well, that's your t-shirt.
Oh, yeah. Oh my, oh crawfish pie. You know what? Like while the darkening is helping me keep to the shadows that I envisioned in my head, it's looking a lot more realistic and not quite as cartoonishly bright as I feel that the toy is. But oh well. Give a little, get a little, balance it all out. There we go. Okay. Whoa, Razorvids, you didn't have to do another super chat. Is Image's Supreme comic worth picking up? Yeah, I would say that anything written by Alan Moore is potentially worth picking up. So, yeah, if that's the era you're talking about, I would say definitely. Could you explain how to do Patreon, asks Richard. I will try and start supporting your posts. How to do Patreon? You just go to patreon.com and enter your personal information, explain what you're offering, and then you can promote it to people, and then they'll support you or they won't. I've got a Patreon at Comic Tropes, and I'm very grateful for the help that I get there. I guess I sort of consider it a little bit like a voluntary way of paying for the show that you watch every week, or a place where you could like consider it a tip jar. Whoops, did you just see what happened there? That wasn't good. This ink spilled out all over the place. Okay. So this guy's just bloody.
Do you want to blot it with paper towel?
Oh, will that work?
Well, if you do it quick enough.
Well, it's probably too late. Probably too late.
If there's a clear blender pen in there, I think it's number 00, that might help with the ink.
Man down. Spooky boy. Hey Chris, I'm typing this in all caps so you can see it. You should do an episode on Mark Bagley. Yeah, I very well could someday. Got a lot of respect for what Mark's accomplished, so that's a possibility. See? Crazy. Alright, well, you know what? Like, I might be able to make this red work if it sort of is a shaded part of his face. Let's see. This is going to be a stretch. I probably screwed this up, but that's sometimes where Photoshop can come in and save us. Now that'll look terrible. So, yeah, right now it looks like his face just got bloody. There's a huge blotch here. It looks terrible. Well, this is what happens sometimes in art, but we live in the digital age, which allows us to correct these mistakes in ways that the artists back in the day could not. If I was a comic book artist in the 70s and this happened, all I could do at that point is redraw all of it or do a patch where I'd just basically maybe light box this and redraw that piece on a separate piece of paper, put it on top, and hope that the photography department that gets things print ready is able to work with that. I've ruined this live piece because of it. Yeah, people are saying whiteout, but I don't think it's going to work.
Did you try lifting it up?
Yeah, I did. Take off the tops of both. Take the tops off of the Copics. Both of the tops off of the Copics to prevent that from happening. Oh, okay. Never heard that before.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Alright, let's see what happens as I... That is news to me. Thank you for the tip from Chad Frazier. I'm going to start doing that, and let's see if I can avoid future oopsie doopsie poopsies, as everybody calls them. Why do we all call mistakes oopsie doopsie poopsies? When you think about it, it's a strange term that we all use every single day. Sorry boss, I did an oopsie doopsie poopsie. No worries, Jenkins, it happens. Hey Dad, sorry about getting in the car accident with your car. I know I'm heading off to college next year. I'm trying to be more responsible. I guess all I can say is I did an oopsie doopsie poopsie. Understood, son. At least you can acknowledge that you did an oopsie doopsie poopsie. We all say it every day, but we never think about what it truly means. Hi, my name is Joe Oopsie Doopsie Poopsie, and I was born in Mistakeville, where everybody makes mistakes, but we all learn to forgive each other. Come on, let's go on an adventure. An oopsie doopsie poopsie kind of adventure. And oopsie doopsie poopsie came around. Everybody head for the ground. We're gonna learn from our mistakes. We're gonna use the brakes. Oh yeah, do your oopsie doopsie and learn. Learn from your mistakes. I don't know what I'm doing, folks. Hi, I'm Bill Forgivesy Wivsy. Great to meet you. Is Joe Oopsie Doopsie Poopsie a Golden Age superhero? He is now. He is now. When Joe Oopsie Doopsie Poopsie was born, his mother said, "Oopsie doopsie, that's a poopsie." and he was given his name. Now, whenever he says oopsie doopsie poopsie, a magic genie comes to help him out of his troubles. Time to go on an adventure with Joe Oopsie Doopsie Poopsie. That's his 80s revival TV show. It didn't take off, by the way. Nobody liked it. Critics hailed it as the biggest oopsie doopsie poopsie that was ever issued. And they didn't mean that in a good way. Watching Chris's ramblings while drawing is like watching myself drawing. This is too surreal. Well, that's what I do. I lose my mind. Losing it. You're losing it, Piers. Oh, am I, self? Oh, am I? Am I over here? Or over here? You'll never catch me. I'm the genie that helps Joe Oopsie Doopsie Poopsie. Just draw the helmet around the red blotch and color in the black part. Yeah. No, I think I ruined this piece of it. I can fix it in Photoshop. It's fine. I'm not giving up. That's how I'm gonna fix it. Is I'm gonna fix it in Photoshop. Hey, hi. I'm Dave Digital. I'm here to fix things for you. My father was Clippy the Paperclip, and my mom was a whore. And I was born Davy Digital, and I'm here to help you. That's what I'm also here to collect paper clips, but that's a personal thing. Mostly I'm here to help, but don't forget that I am here to collect paper clips. So if you've got any, please show me what you've got. I may want to collect those, but that's not the primary thing that you need to be thinking about right now. Okay then. Again, Davy Digital, and my father was Clippy the Paperclip. And I can't help it, I also like to help people.
And your mother was a whore?
My mother was a bit of a whore, so she slept with anything, including Clippy the Paperclip.
Wait, that's you.
No, I'm Davy Digital.
Oh, right.
Jesus, if you're not going to pay attention, just leave the room. I know you said you don't have time for more people in your highest tier, but have you thought about adding another tier with sketches as a prize? Yeah, but I don't think people would want to pay much for that. Like, and I don't know if I could, like, if they were going to contribute like $20, like, am I drawing them a sketch every single month that they pay that $20? Because I don't know, like, what can... See, I feel like if you're going to pay at a certain tier, you should get an ongoing reward or something big enough to justify that you paid it at least that one time for both of us. So that's where it gets tricky. Like, you know, I don't know. Oh, you're stressing me out. Oh, I don't know. Okay. Uncanny Kodiak names me and says, what would it take to get you to quit your job and do YouTube and Twitch and social every day? It would take money. A lot of it. I can't afford to quit my job. If my channel was maybe 5 times the size it is now, maybe I could do that instead, but I don't think that'll happen anytime soon. So, yeah. That's what it would take, basically, is somewhere around 5 times where my channel is now to consider that. And that's just to consider it, not like a guaranteed thing. Interesting question. I'm sure lots of us would love the idea of being our own boss or being content creators full time. I don't know how realistic that idea is. Of course, I'd love to do it. If I could, I'd definitely be creating a lot more than I do right now. You know, I'd be live streaming all the time. I'd be doing at least one episode of Comic Tropes a week, and it would probably be more like a 30-minute episode. And then I would probably also sprinkle in some quick reviews. That's something that I think could be fun and interesting. I'd definitely love to start doing interviews, but that costs money to travel and arrange stuff like that. So there are definitely things I'd love to do for the channel if I had more time and, to a degree, money. Oh, who knows? But I do have ideas just in case it ever grows. I wouldn't just be doing the same thing. I definitely have other ideas that I would sort of add and deliver more content. So if I was able to even do a little bit more of that, maybe it would grow some more. I don't know. It depends. I don't know if what I deliver has a... I don't know what the size of the potential audience is, you know? I don't want to make any big assumptions. But it would be interesting. Would potentially be a lot of fun to be able to do this more. Who knows? Alright, have I read Spider-Man Blue? I don't think I did. I know it was by Tim Sale and Jeff Leb, right? But I don't... If that's right, I don't think I read it. By the way, was it Chad who suggested I take the tips off of both ends when I use this? Like, thank you so much for that piece of advice, because so far, none of these Copics have even threatened to spill, so that does seem to have made a difference, and that's just not something I ever knew, so thank you very much for the tip. It's tremendously appreciated. Tremendously. Alright, Chrissy says you should go to New York Comic Con and interview creators for Comic Tropes. Sure, or other conventions, all sorts of conventions. I would love to. I would love to do interviews. And my interviews probably wouldn't really be based on just promoting the latest thing they do. I'd really want to dig deep into their specific approach to work and their specific philosophies. But I think I'd have to be pretty well known in order to get people's attention and for it to be worth it to them, so that they know that they're talking to their potential readers. Yeah. Chrissy was mentioning how back in the day I used to do a podcast for many years about TV, and I would do celebrity interviews on that, and that probably had a smaller viewership actually, and TV is seen by a lot more people. So maybe I could get maybe I could secure some pretty good interviews already. I don't know. It's an interesting idea.
So maybe you should quickly get a plane ticket out to New York for tomorrow night.
Yep.
And get some interviews and maybe call it work related.
So yeah. So tomorrow or
Thursday.
wait, no, Thursday is the first day of the New York Comic-Con, and this will be the first one I have ever not attended. I've attended every single New York Comic-Con, and it is a little depressing and upsetting that I wasn't able to afford to go this year, because I've always gone in the past. But what can I say? It just wasn't realistic to go this year. It's this Thursday, I think. And that's like, I just like going to see the costumes and my friends. That's the big reason I like to go to conventions at this point. I don't necessarily buy a lot. I do tend to look for obscure things for comic tropes. Anyway, not this year, unfortunately. It had to end at some point, I guess. But I also love New York. I used to live on the East Coast. I would go to New York pretty regularly, so not this year, unfortunately.
I didn't realize I was sad about it until yesterday when you said this is the first year you're gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss it too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I like coloring with Copics. It's just fun, you know. I mean, it's you can shade and stuff if you're talented. I'm not especially talented with Copics, but I think that they're a blast to use. All right, let's see. Hey, Chris, what would happen if you hit 100,000 subscribers? What would happen? What would happen? I might be able to quit my job at that point and do YouTube full time. And I would probably put a lot of effort into pushing some of my ideas. I admit I would love to make comics. But I also don't know if I'd want to stop discussing and analyzing them. I really get a lot of pleasure out of that. So, yeah, it's an interesting question. I can't give a super easy answer of like X, Y, and Z would happen. Immediately, the only thing that would really change is I might be able to quit whatever job I'm at. Not to say that I'd want to. I'm just saying that I could, and if I could, then I could afford to do even more comics related content, which would be very nice. I would really like to do that. So it's definitely something I'd think about. But even at 100,000, like, I'd only think about it. Like, it really might have to be until it was more like 125,000, 150,000. It depends. It depends on how things would scale in terms of the ads that YouTube puts on my channel, as well as like what kind of like support I might have on Patreon, and is it realistic to count on that? So those are some of the questions I'd be thinking about. That's what would change at that point. Commit to the name change. Okay. Did you ever read Long Shot miniseries? Absolutely. That's a cool one, JoJo. I'm a fan of Art Adams' work, and I think that he did a great job on that. That was one of his first things. It's growing right now as we speak. You just made 22 in 30 minutes, which is only a start for a content provider. And we don't mind paying that. You should see what we pay Twitch streamer. Do people make a lot more money on Twitch? Is that something? I guess I didn't realize that. Was I just going to use this red on? Oh, yeah. With this goofball. Look at this goofball. Hey, folks. Have y'all heard about this guy named Windmill? Anyway, I am drawing this for, I think I said before, my friend's YouTube channel. He goes by Hooded Cobra Commander 788. So this will be title card art for an episode he's doing in like, I don't know, a little more than a week, somewhere around there. And so it'll just briefly pop up there. Hopefully catch a few new viewers' attention. Anyway, he's like a fellow YouTuber that we can really bounce ideas off each other, and we have different audiences and stuff, but it is so nice to have somebody else that makes YouTube content and that I can like sort of get feedback off of. It's really valuable. What is the lightest blue I have? It is... Do you want a shout out, Chrissy?
Oh, not me. Yes, give me a shout out, Chris.
The Pathetic Spider Boy. You just got a shout out. A comic trope shout out. You are the Pathetic Spider Boy. I don't know what people expect out of a shout out. That's the best I can do. You got one. You got one. For ages, I thought the helicopter in the background was a gun. No, it's a weird helicopter. Weird helicopter. Gonna give it a little bit of this.
What a glorious shout out.
Right? I don't think anybody could have asked for more. Hey, you just got shouted out. Let's see. Uncanny Kodiak says, but with the way you read comics, all you have to do is a small comic review every day and a trope once a week. Yeah, I'd love to do something like that. I literally could not fit that into my day right now. I couldn't. And honestly, I can't afford to buy comics every week right now. I can barely afford to buy what I need for my reviews, so I am not super up to date on every comic that's coming out every week. I have to wait, hear what's good or interesting, and get that later in like trade paperback or digital. Let's see. Yeah? Cool, thanks. Let's see here. This is my lightest gray, I believe. Yep. Now I'm just gonna make some pretty little gray lines over here. We're gonna make some pretty little. We're just gonna make a happy little mountain in the background. Some happy little trees. No, I was just channeling my inner Bob Ross. You all know Bob Ross, right? Is his stuff on Netflix, I think? I think it is.
It's also on YouTube. Like,
oh, is it on YouTube?
pirated massively. Yeah.
You can learn a lot from Bob Ross. You really can. It's like his art is, I don't know, maybe a little generic or something, but at the same time, there are real fundamentals in there. You can learn a lot. You can learn a lot from a dummy. Do you remember those commercials? The crash test dummies? I think the crash test dummies had a rap album.
Did they?
Yeah, I think so. Somebody double check on that. I think that there used to be this series of public safety messages, and they had like these sort of fictional crash test dummies that would speak to you, give you advice on safety. One of them, I don't remember both voices, but one of them was voiced by Lorenzo Music, who is pretty famous for voicing like the original Garfield cartoon and the original like animated Peter Venkman. So that's a pretty memorable voice. Yeah, the crash test dummies, and I'm pretty sure they had a rap album. Not a good idea, folks. Macho Man was my favorite celebrity rapper. I think the worst white guy try and rap is probably Hulk Hogan. What is his rap? I don't know. He had a whole album and it's terrible. It's so terrible. He sings one like serious ballad about like how one of his fans died, but like he'll see him up in heaven. Another Hulkamaniac has gone to heaven. Something like that. And it's like, whoa, dude, get over yourself. Get over yourself. Alright, so even though this stream ended up sort of getting broken in two, they did end up sort of being very different because the second one featured a lot of coloring. So that's at least a little something, right? That's something to vary it up. The world just lost another Hulkamaniac. Yeah, that's a real loss for the world. The world just lost.
Maybe the Hulkamaniac we lost was also the person who's going to discover a cure for cancer.
Oh, whoops. All those Hulkamaniacs that keep curing cancer. Yeah, darker tone. Mr. T album is hilarious. Oh, folks, I didn't know that there was a Mr. T album. How did I not know this? Boy, by the way, that Mr. T comic that I only briefly touch on in my episode about licensed comic failures, oof, that one is a dog. And what's weird about it, to say that it's a dog, is it had good artwork. It had Neil Adams and I believe the late Norm Brayfogle. Like, it had good artists, but it stunk. All right. I think this is good enough. I think that, like, it's unfortunate that this red thing happened here, but you know what? I think I can fix it in Photoshop. Maybe it has rosacea. Folks, I think I'm going to take off, unless you've got some great questions that are going to keep me here. Any celebrity deaths that legit made you sad? Yeah. I was really sad when Phil Hartman died. That was tough. It was really sad when Brandon Lee died. He'd only made a couple movies, but I had seen Rapid Fire in the theater. I loved it at the time, and I was really excited for The Crow because I was into comics. So those are two sort of out there ones that made me a little sad. What else? Well, look, on the screen I can see myself. Oh. I'm so entertaining. Wow! Whoa, who's that guy? He's so smart. And he's handsome, too. Oh, it's me. The Mr. T Treat Your Mother Right song is awesome. All right. Since we're talking celebrity songs. Who was the guy that played Corky on Life Goes On? Do you remember? Chris Burke. There was an actor, or is an actor, he's still around, I believe, Chris Burke, an actor with legit Down syndrome. And I'm not making fun of people with Down syndrome, but I am sort of making fun of the album that Chris Burke released. Look up the song Eating is Fun, Eating is Serious. It's ridiculous. I'm not making fun of Chris Burke. Whoever wrote it, though, whoever wrote that song, like, shame on you. Eating is fun, eating is serious. You eat too much, you're gonna end up delirious. And Chris Burke was legit a good actor. I should say is. I don't know if he's still doing anything, but I don't think he was much of a singer. Okay? I'm saying that. It's worth a listen to be amused. And I would say that. I've obviously said that about Hulk Hogan. So I'm making fun of a lot of people with brain injuries. It's not an injury. Mark Wahlberg's rendition of "You've Got the Touch" cover is amazing. I remember that in Boogie Nights. That was good. That was unexpected and cool. I love thinking to myself that a director like that, like Paul Anderson, was familiar with Transformers. Better than Wesley Willis? I don't know about better. Wesley Willis is plenty entertaining. God, so many great albums by actors. It's up there with Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis, I Am Bruno, or whatever it was called. All right, we'll pick this up tomorrow. Probably about the same time tomorrow. I'm going to try to stream by about 7 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. I've got a loose idea of where I'm going. I think it'll be a little bit more comic booky than what I did with this guy. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. Thank you for rejoining me. I was so disheartened when the stream went down, but it seems like it was just a glitch, and we're back. We're good. So, yep, I drew a G.I. Joe today. I've got my G.I. Joe hoodie on, and then underneath I have, now this is Walking Dead, but it's Walking Dead based on Tiger Force, a G.I. Joe concept, but they called it Shiva Force. Thanks, everybody. I had a lot of fun talking with you. I'll see you tomorrow night. Bye.